So you've run your track through tape, it's sounding big, it's sounding warm, it's sounding amazing. But now, how do we get that ready for a digital release that's up to modern standards? Lucky you, that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. I'm going to be using a real life example of a band that asked me to master their song through tape and just show you the sort of workflow that I came up with to get a result that they were really happy with. So by the end of this video, you should be able to know how to get your song from the cassette tape all the way ready to actually go out on digital streaming platforms for the world to hear, which is pretty exciting. It's a true hybrid process that I'm going to be sharing with you. So let's get into it. I'm not going to bore you with showing you how to run the song through the tape machine because I actually did that in my last video step by step, so go check that out if you want to get to this step. That matter now. But I'm going to jump into Logic now and show you some things that I did do to the track before running it through the tape machine. I'm sort of relearning what I did myself right now. So basically, I feel like I'm shouting with these on. So to catch up on what I did to run this through the tape machine, I decided to run the premaster through it because I wanted all of the dynamics to interact with the tape in a better way than they will if you actually send a full master through. So essentially in my last video I ran a whole master through, which is fine to do, but I felt like the whole track had one sort of uniform level of saturation to it, whereas when I ran the pre-master through I found that like the kick and snare and other dynamic bits that stuck out would actually catch more saturation than the bits that weren't as dynamic. So what we've got on this bottom track is actually the pre-tape recording, so just the digital mix that the band gave to me. And what I decided to do was add some EQ in Logic before it actually hit the tape machine. The reason for this was to keep a bit more brightness, so I didn't have to brighten it after the tape machine because then would bring up a lot of tape hiss. So first of all, I'll just show you some of the track and then I'll show you what the difference is with the EQ that I added.
All things that make you die.
That's a reference of the song just as it is. That was the digital mix that the band sent to me. It sounds great as it is. It's got sort of earlier turnover vibes, Pine Grove, that sort of thing. This is a song called Making Friends by Desk. It's my friend's band. Incredible musicians, so they're worth checking out. So that was the song without anything. That was how the band sent it to me. And then what I've done is added one EQ that was just boosting slightly at about 950 hertz. That's what this was doing. Really subtle, but you can just feel it lift the vocal a little bit, which is what I wanted to keep. I found that the tape machine takes a little bit from the mids and highs, so I thought by adding this in before it hits it, we'll actually be keeping them when it comes out of the tape after, in theory. And it did seem to work. And I also added this MkII or Mag or Mag, who knows how you say it, but it's basically this nice analog EQ. I use this a lot to generally brighten stuff up and it works really well in mastering. You change this band to the Air band and it's essentially like 40k upwards. I'll put this to the max and show you what it's doing. So if you boost this all the way, I mean, it's not too extreme really, but you can really hear it's real crispy when you go that far with it. But I think it's just good, especially when I'm hitting the tape, because I don't want to bring up tape hiss after. So if I just add a subtle amount of this, I was thinking I won't have to boost the tape hiss. I actually won't have to touch the high end too much when it comes out of the tape machine. It's just giving it a lift, it's just brightening it up and giving it some more clarity basically. So I'll turn both of these off and then bring them both in so you can hear what it's actually doing overall. So this is with nothing. And then I'll add it in now. So it's definitely subtle, but it just brings a bit more life to it before it's hitting the tape. So I ran that through the tape with the EQ on, and then this is what we got back out basically. This is from the tape. So yeah, it's just got a bit more character and it's still sounding around as bright as the digital mix originally did. What I'll quickly show you is the digital mix versus the tape mix. So what I'll be playing on the bottom is the digital track that the band sent me, and then the top one is it ran through the tape. Let me know what you think. So in my opinion, I think it's just giving it that nice rounded, glued together sound. We didn't go too hard on the saturation. I did send the band a version where it had more saturation than this, so they thought it was just going a bit too far. And when I listened back, I agreed it was pretty heavy. Like every time the kick or snare hit, you could really hear the saturation. Whereas I think in this version, you really feel it more than you hear it. So now we need to do a full digital master. So you can see my plugins here. This is my sort of master chain, and I've visually broke it down into different sections. So I've got denoising up the top, and then I've got balance, which includes EQ and compression, and then imaging, so it's like making the song sound wider, and then limiting at the end. Obviously you can go further with this, but this is just a nice simple chain that I've found does the job, and it really works and sounds well without overcomplicating things. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention at the bottom, these two are just referencing tools, so multimeter and this adapter MkII as well, which is just a really good plugin for referencing songs. You can just pull in your own songs at the bottom, go through playback, spectrum, stereo image. It's like a mastering hub essentially for referencing other tracks. So that's my general chain that we'll be running this through. So I'll roughly go over the specific moves that I made. Keep in mind that your track needs its own specific moves. This won't apply directly to yours, but the mindset behind it will. Hopefully. This is really the part that transforms this from not being release ready to being absolutely ready to go out on streaming platforms. So let's get into it. So the first step for me was bringing down some of the tape hiss that was on this. I'll loop a section of the song which doesn't have any instruments playing, so you can just hear what the hiss sounds like. So you can hear it's pretty loud. So basically with X noise, we can just press this learn button while playing the noise, and it will just learn what it sounds like essentially, and then you can bring that down after. Click learn and we can see the frequency graph of the noise there. And then already you can hear the difference. That's before. We can change how much we want to reduce this. I do want to keep a little bit of the tape hiss on this because I feel like it does add character, but I just don't want it to be something that's getting in the way of the track or becoming too much on the ear and taken away from it. So, and we should be able to subtly hear that through the track as well.
This time just do it outside.
You do have to be careful to not push it too far because you'll start to affect some of the high end in the track as well. So that's another reason to not go too hard on that. So that's the denoising. Next we'll go on to the balance. And what I usually do before doing any EQ is just listen to a few references. I personally use this MkII plugin to do this, but you could just bring in a song on another track and just compare using your ear or other spectrum analyzer plugins. So the first plugin I use here is the FabFilter Pro Q3. I made a little cut at about 90 Hz in this case, boosted at about 850, and then boosted the shelf on the top end as well. You can see in this frequency graph, this is without any EQ, that there is quite a big boost in the bass compared to the reference. The mids are a little bit more balanced compared to our blue track, and the highs are a lot flatter as well, which is we can see a drop in ours here. So you can see after the EQ, it has made it a little bit closer to the reference there as well. The next thing I'll do, which backs this up and gets us a much sort of flatter frequency balance, is multiband compression. So I use Ozone Pro Dynamics for this. I just feel like it's quite transparent and it doesn't like crush things too much. So what I'll do with multiband compression is essentially split it into bands. I know it sounds obvious. You can change where you want the bands. So I've got a band going from 0 to 300 Hz, and then 300 to around 13K, and then 13K upwards for that really sizzly top end. And I'm just compressing them all individually. So this is what I'm doing to the low end. That's with nothing. Hopefully you can hear that. I know this is super low frequency, but essentially I'm just trying to tighten it up. You can see that's before. Things seem to be jumping around a lot more, and then after I put this in, things seem a lot more smooth in the low end. I don't really look at the frequency graph when I do this, to be honest. I normally just use my ear, but it's nice to see that it does show up on there as well. And then I've got my mid-range band from like 300 to 10K. It's quite a wide band really, but I think it just gets the main instrumentation and the vocal as well. So you can see it's doing around -4.5 at the very max when the snare and kick are hitting. So it's not doing too much, but you'll hear overall it really tightens it up just doing these subtle moves. The very high end, this is before. And then we'll turn it on. I feel like I can hit the high end a lot harder than the rest of it because it's more of, it sort of sounds like a shaker. Like that's how high just this high end is. But overall, if we look at this number down here, I'm never really doing more than -3 or -4 dB in gain reduction. I don't want the song to feel crushed in any way. I just want it to feel subtly tighter, essentially, which is what I think the tape does anyway. So this is just adding an extra layer. I'll bypass everything. So this is just the track with the denoising and the EQ that we've added so far, and then I'll add in the multiband compression. So again, really subtle, but my mindset behind this is a bunch of small changes will add up to a big change in the end, rather than just hitting everything super hard and then it just becoming a really crushed sounding song. We want to just like lightly polish it along the way, and then when we get to the end, it's prepping it for that limiter where we can bring up the loudness without crushing all the dynamics. And just a disclaimer, I'm just a guy that's done this a lot through my own bands and a few times for other people. I'm not a professional mastering engineer, but this is what has worked for me in the past, and hopefully you can get something from it as well as a DIY musician. So next I'm bringing back the MkII or Marg, I have no idea how you pronounce this. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. I've been wrong on the channel a couple of times, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm adding quite a big clarity boost here, so this is what it's doing. So you can hear that the very high end again is just getting a nice clarity boost. This backs up what I was saying with the tape taking away the high end as well, because as I mentioned, I did send this through the tape with this MkII already on, but obviously I have boosted this after the fact, which is what the denoising is good for as well. It's just kind of, if we denoise first, we can add in some highs after, and it shouldn't boost up too much that tape hiss. Now we're on to imaging. So I'm using the Ozone Pro imager for this. This just makes the track sound wider. The good thing about already running this through the tape and through this analog equipment is that analog gear already has a wider perception, if that makes sense. So basically, if you pan things left and right in the analog world, it will sound wider than in the digital world. I'm not sure the technical details behind that, but I know that's quite a common thing that people hear. This is without it, and then with it. I honestly think this is one of the things in mastering that makes one of the biggest differences. It just sounds more alive when it's wider. It just sounds bigger. I'm widening a little bit from like 500 to 4K, and then a little bit more from about 5K to 20K. And it just makes a huge difference. One thing you do need to watch out for is to test this in mono, because you don't want phasing issues. So that's the stereo imaging sort of section that we've got there as well. So now basically we've got a denoise track to get rid of some of that tape hiss. We've got a fully EQ'd compressed song as well. We've just widened it so it's sounding huge, and basically all that has just been subtly prepping this song for the limiter at the end, so we can now bring this up to a modern standard loudness without actually crushing the song. So for this I'm using the FabFilter Pro L2, and I'll show you what this is doing. You'll notice a big jump in volume with this.
Push all the worries away, making friends and pushing away.
I like to use the transparent style on this plugin as well. Basically, I don't really want the limiter to be crushing anything too much. I want it to just be bringing up the volume. My mindset behind it is that we've been shaping the sound of the song with every step up to this point, and I just want to bring up what we've done, essentially, without touching it too much. So what I'll do essentially is bring up MkII. Honestly, I really recommend this plugin. It's great for referencing in general. You can do everything in one plugin. Come to the Dynamics tab. We can actually compare our master, which is the blue one, to the reference, which is the orange one. I'd essentially just go through a few different references and see what they're sort of coming at, and then I've roughly matched my master to this, which we can see it's staying pretty consistent. And then if we go to the loudness tab as well, we can see that the LUFS or LUFS, I don't know how you meant to pronounce this, but we're hitting around -10, which is a nice in between of not absolutely crushing the shit out of the song, but also staying competitive to the loudness war and all the modern standards that are happening right now. So that's pretty much it. Let's listen to a before and after of what we've actually done in all these little steps. So I've just gain matched these roughly. So this bottom one that you're looking at is the song run through the tape with no mastering after, and then the top one is the full master that we just went through in detail. So you'll be hearing everything except for the big volume increase, so we'll be able to hear if this is sounding nice and tight compared to the original digital. that's basically it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you hear the difference, if it's good or bad. I think personally there's a bunch more clarity here. We've got the tape saturation and glue that the tape brings, but also a nice polished and loud mix that is ready to go out on streaming platforms. I want to say a massive thanks to Desk for actually asking me to master this track for them. The song's called Making Friends and it should be out by the time this video comes out, so go give that band some support. They're incredible musicians and good friends as well. Hit subscribe for more stuff just like this, and let me know in the comments if you found this useful or if you're going to use this yourself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.